control inner city black males by administering covertly, secretly, without your and my knowledge, administering to you and I, Depo-Provera, as context. I submit this very important document. From 1987, and the year is important. From Psychological Bulletin, Dr. Lee Ellis and Dr. Ashley Ames, an article entitled Neurohormonal Functioning and Sexual Orientation. Why this article is so critically important, not only to understand the government's 1992 Violence Prevention Initiative, but to understand the whole phenomenon of black homosexuality today. The whole phenomenon, this new phenomenon of black homosexuality. With the confessions here, you and I can understand it for what it is. A spawn of the white man's science. The black homosexual phenomenon today that has blacks outnumbering whites, Asians, and Hispanics as self-identified gays. That phenomenon is a spawn of white science, and in this document, we have the science laid out. An important section in this document: experimental induction of sexual inversions in non-humans. Sexual inversion. What is a sexual inversion? Well, we can illustrate that best if you think of Young Thug and Young M.A. You got Young Thug and Young M.A. in your mind? That's sexual inversion. Sexual inversion is transgendering. So, in this document, the science by which sexual inversions were produced in the laboratory and then moved up, what they call in vitro, in the lab, and then moved out in vivo, in real life, the science to doing this is laid out here. They say, and listen, it's 1987. In the past 30 years, a large array of sexual inversions have been experimentally induced in laboratory animals. In the last 30 years, that means since 1950, a large array of sexual inversions have been experimentally induced in laboratory animals. 5 basic methods for inducing sexual inversions of a neurological, behavioral nature, inducing sexual inversion neurologically in the mind and behaviorally. So you don't only think you're a woman but a man, or think you're a man but are a woman, but you behave as a woman though you're a man. You behave as a man though you're a woman. 5 basic methods. 5 methods of scientifically inducing sexual inversion were mastered by 1987 and had been worked on since 1950. All aspects of mammal anatomy, physiology, and behavior can be sexually inverted. Ain't nothing scientists talking about what they do, what they have successfully done in a laboratory. All aspects of mammal anatomy, physiology, and behavior can be sexually inverted. Most, if not all, of the methods for causing sexual inversion involve altering androgen and or other sex hormone levels, while the various parts of the body are sexually differentiating in the womb. Chemical manipulation of sexuality through drugs. I need that slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Listen to this confession. Several neurologically active drugs can block testosterone's effects. Let's talk about testosterone for a minute, because there's a lot of misunderstanding. Testosterone is not just a the sex hormone. Androgens are hormones that trigger the growth and sustenance of primary and secondary male characteristics. Testosterone is one such androgen, but testosterone does way more than control libido, male libido. Testosterone produces the masculine brain and controls masculine behavior. Testosterone masculinizes the brain of men. The feminists want us to believe, Brother Minister, that gender is purely a social construct, that male and female are artificial things, artificial categories. They wrong. The devil lied. Masculinity and femininity is anchored in biochemistry. Testosterone produces the male brain. It masculinizes the brain. It masculinizes behavior. And it is called now the dominance hormone, because what testosterone does, it encourages behavior intended to acquire dominance. So scientists are using the term today, the power hormone. High levels of testosterone encourages behavior that will acquire dominance. The scientists have said, and this is critical, when we reflect on Dr. Bregan's warning, scientists have said an example of testosterone as a dominance hormone is that people who revolt against oppressors, their testosterone level is high. So high testosterone is a biochemical attribute of those who revolt against oppressors. So testosterone is the dominance hormone. And high levels of testosterone characterizes the quest for dominance, and in particular, they discovered the quest to overcome oppression. Do you follow? So let's go back to the confessions. Several neurologically active drugs can block testosterone's effects or otherwise interfere with the neuroorganizational actions of the sex hormones. Examples include such anti-androgens, androgens being the male hormone. Anti-androgens are drugs that prevent testosterone from doing what it do in the male body. You follow? Anti-androgens are testosterone blockers, drugs that act as testosterone blockers. Examples of such anti-androgens, drugs that keep testosterone from doing what it do. Some examples are Depo-Provera, the drug that the government's $400 million program to biomedically control black men. That drug, Depo-Provera, is an anti-androgen, and what does it do? These drugs alter the synthesis of androgens, the formation of androgen receptor sites, or the filling of androgen receptor sites in the brain. When they are administered to pregnant mothers, while the fetus's brain is being sexually organized, offspring are likely to have their post-pubertal sexual behavior affected. If a mother is administered Depo-Provera while she's pregnant, or, which is being encouraged, if while breastfeeding you surrender to the doctor's insistence that you go on birth control. But Ismail, only half of my baby was out of the womb when the nurses are pressing my wife about what birth control she want to use. They are hawks about putting you on birth control immediately. And if you are breastfeeding while on birth control, the birth control, Depo-Provera, or the pill, we're going to talk about the pill. While you are on birth control while breastfeeding, it's feminizing your male child and it's masculinizing you. We're going to look at that in a minute. But Depo-Provera, look what Depo-Provera does. The selected drug to biomedically control you and I. The best documented effect is the tendency for various anti-androgens to have feminizing and demasculinizing effects on the sexual behavior of male rats after the onset of puberty,